Welcome to TechRadar. I'm Henry St. Ledger.
And I'm Matt Phillips, and the likely announcement of the PS5 is just around the corner now, so we thought we'd sit down and talk about our predictions, hopes and dreams, what we want to see from the new console. So, I'm going to give you a hard question to start off with.
Please do.
Give me a price tag. What do you think the PS5 is getting launched at?
Oh, God. It's probably $500, possibly just under 500 quid.
Yeah.
The PS4, being our closest point of reference, was 400.
Yep.
And I'd be very surprised if they managed to keep the price that low, given the jump in processing and in hard drives and the number of enhancements.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you're spot on. I think 500 is the right price point for it. If they could come lower, I think obviously people would love that, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I think the way that we're going with this, the sort of leap that we're taking, I think they need to increase the price on it. And so I think 500, like you say, is probably reasonable. Do you think, can you imagine it launching alongside a second SKU, a PS5 Pro as well at launch? Do you envision seeing that? Or
there's been some chatter around that.
Yeah.
I'm a bit skeptical.
Me too.
I feel like Sony understands the importance of a singular message.
Yes.
And I think launching two consoles with different specifications is, if not confusing, going to be a bit distracting. And I think they're likely to save a performance boost for a bit later down the line. Because if they can make a Pro now, why not just release that as the PS5? I think some people might be thinking.
Yeah, and I guess the argument would be that it will the price tag, right? Like we're looking at maybe a £500 PlayStation 5 if we're lucky. Mm-hmm. The PS5 Pro would have to be, what, 700 or, something crazy, which would be
more. I think breaking the 500 point is going to be a sticking point for a lot
I totally
of people.
agree. I totally agree. So, but I think, interestingly, I could envision Microsoft doing that. I could see a second Xbox coming out alongside the Series X, but a lesser version. I think the Series X is going to be the higher version. Maybe we get a Series S, no disc drive, other bits and bobs that are slightly downgraded.
Yeah,
that's a cheaper version.
75 quid cheaper, not as cheap as it should be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think so. But I think you're likely to see more of that. So, what about a release date? Do you think, have you got a date in mind? Have you got a day in mind? You've noted down in your calendar?
I know when I think it's going to be. We know from both Microsoft and Sony, they're both aiming for holiday 2020.
Sure.
The last generation of consoles, at least their original versions, were November, within about a week of each other.
Yes.
I think that's quite likely. They don't want to be too close to Christmas because they don't want to miss out on a few weeks of pre-orders.
Sure.
Not pre-orders, actual orders, and getting them into people's homes.
Yeah.
So I think November's quite likely.
Yeah, I was looking at the calendar just before we came up here, and I think November, Friday the 13th. Unlucky for some. But I reckon that's the day. The PS3, I think, was a Saturday, if I remember rightly. The PS4 was a Friday. Either one way or the other way around. I think Friday the 13th. Maybe they're superstitious enough to avoid that. I don't know. But I reckon that's the day.
I can't wait for those headlines if that's true.
I know. Everybody will love it,
PS5
right?
cursed on day one.
Yeah. But we should find out within a month, hopefully. Is that the rumours?
Yes, well, there's been a lot of chatter around February launch date, which seems, I think, quite likely at this point.
Yeah.
It'll be a similar thing to the Xbox Series X. Will be an unveiling. We'll get a look at it. We won't get a huge amount more information. I think they're going to drip feed that the closer we get.
And of course, like you say, we're not going to get a massive amount of information. You would expect to see that sort of information at E3. However, Sony have dropped out of E3 again this year, which it was a massive surprise to me. I thought I understand why they haven't done it in previous years, but with a console on the horizon, I thought this is surely they have to go to E3. They have to have a presence there. Apparently not.
Yeah, I think we were all saying this last year. Oh, they're missing E3 2019, but they'll definitely be there 2020. They're just saving the good stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
For them.
Yeah. So super interesting. So launch titles then. Obviously, if we're going to buy a PS5 on launch day, we need stuff to play. Are we going to see a new knack? Is the question that everybody behind the screen was shouting and screaming.
Who is asking that? Are you asking that?
I just did ask it, unfortunately, yeah. Personally, I don't think we are going to see a new knack. But
sadly,
what do you think we are going to see?
Nothing but knack. Nothing but knack on the PS5.
Yeah.
Well, we know we've got Godfall as a slightly mysterious.
Sure.
PS5
That's been announced
exclusive.
as a launch title.
Yes, I believe so, or shortly after.
Shortly after launch window, maybe.
Period.
You might be right. I'm not sure.
I'm sure there'll be some some notable launch titles, but I think for the first few months, especially, we're likely to see mostly cross-generation releases, so that people on the PS4 aren't immediately missing out. They can't immediately spend 500 quid.
Yeah, and I think it would be a huge hit for them to get Last of Us Part 2 remastered, which I'm sure
Yes.
is on everybody's mind
Yes.
at Naughty Dog, as well as many other things, finishing up The Last of Us Part 2. But if they could hit that on launch, that would be huge, I think.
Yeah, I think we can count on most, if not all, of the major PS4 exclusive this year, because there are quite a few notable ones.
Sure.
Ghost of Tsushima as well.
Yes.
If they're not coming to PS5, something's gone wrong.
The question is just when will they be coming to PS5, right? You want them earlier rather than later. Whether or not that will happen, of course, a big conversation piece has been on backwards compatibility. I've even heard rumors that we're going to get PS1 backwards compatibility. I have no idea how they would possibly do that. Or maybe even PS3 would be more of a challenge because that was such a different system. But what do you think? Backwards compatibility, how important is it? Are we likely to get it? Is it a hope or a dream?
I think we're going to get a decent amount of it. Sony definitely seems keener to have more of that, as that's one of the few areas where I think a lot of us feel they've lost to on Microsoft.
Definitely.
For this generation of consoles, with services like the PS Now, where you've got quite a lot of PS2 and PS3 games available on the service. So I think having a lot of them available either through PS Now or as standalone games through the PlayStation Store doesn't seem that unlikely to me. Seeing PS1, I think, would be some fantastic fan service, but whether we're going to get those games compatible or substantially remastered versions of some key ones, I think is unclear at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. I think we are definitely going to see a massive push in this announcement for PS Now. I think they've seen the success of Game Pass and how Game Pass have done it right, and I think there is massive potential in PS Now, but they do need to sort their messaging out. I think your average PS4 user doesn't know what it is. They know it now appears almost immediately when you boot up the PS4 in like your cross-media bar, right? It's like they have a massive ad for it there.
I know. I'm on the PlayStation Now. I get it. Yes.
I get it.
What are you telling me?
And they've got some great titles on there now. You know, they've just put God of War on, and I believe Horizon Zero Dawn's on it now as well. So potentially, I think they could really knock it out of the park with PS Now. I don't know if they need a whole rebrand for it necessarily, but they do need to get their messaging straight. If they put some PS5 exclusives on it as well, so that instead of buying your PS5 with a bundle of 2 games, you buy it and you get a month's free PS Now, you're laughing, sort of thing. So it's a big ask, but that's what I want to see. That's a huge thing. So PS5 specs is obviously going to be a question that a lot of people are asking about. I personally have no idea what's going on inside my PS4. So specs-wise, what can I expect for the layman? Explain it to me.
Well, I think one of the benefits of the PlayStation and Xbox consoles is they don't necessarily invite you too much to look at the specs.
Exactly.
You have the box, it plays the games.
Exactly. I don't need to update my drivers and worry about my TurboTax and all that nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, there are definitely going to be some significant jumps in processing power. The Xbox Series X should be at least twice as powerful as the Xbox One X, which is already the most powerful console on the market. There's talk of 8K resolution for the minority of gamers that will be relevant for.
Yeah, I was going to say, surely that, when I saw that initially, I was quite skeptical. 8K gaming within this generation, I can imagine it maybe on a PS5 Pro or something. Is that more targeted at, do you think, Netflix eventually coming in 8K and that sort of thing? Or are we realistically expecting to play our games in 3 years' time in 8K?
Again, a minority. I don't think we're going to be seeing Netflix doing 8K anytime soon. In terms of 8K gaming, I think there are going to be a few titles that get specialist boost modes for 8K, but it's not going to be a common feature across the board. And I think if anything with this generation, we're going to see the biggest disparity in terms of visual and gameplay quality, with the difference between HD, 4K and 8K. People are going to be looking at games with very different eyes.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see, because I know a lot of people out there are yet to even upgrade to 4K.
Yeah,
so when they see on the specs list it's going to do 8K gaming, I think a lot of people are like, well, I don't need that. Yeah.
You don't want people to tune out.
Exactly. And we're talking about, a £500 price point for the PS5, which is expensive. And then if they say, well, to get the most out of it, you're going to have to go and buy a
8K TV for $3,000.
Exactly. That's just absolutely madness. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see. And then I guess finally, before we sign off, Xbox is obviously also coming. Do we think PS5 is going to come out before Xbox? Do you think they're going to snake in before Xbox? It's difficult to suggest, I suppose, either way, but...
Yeah, I think there likely won't be more than about a week, 10
I
days
agree.
between them. Some people might disagree with me. I don't think that difference is particularly notable, as long as they both have roughly the same amount of time before Christmas. I don't think people are going to buy the Xbox Series X rather than the PS5 just because it comes out a week earlier. You've made up your mind by the time the first one is.
Yeah, I think so. And I think maybe in previous generations, Xbox 360 sort of area, that maybe was more important. I think your average gamer now is more savvy as to what sort of goes on in the industry. Obviously, you're watching this video, so you're in the like top 1%. But yeah. So I think you're absolutely right. People do have their allegiances. I wonder what differentiating thing do you think will be most people's deciding factor between Xbox and PS5?
I mean, it's a really cynical answer, but I think it's probably Xbox One versus PS4 that's going to decide it. I feel that.
You think it's brand allegiance? Yeah,
a little bit at this point, because these consoles have been around for so long and are so dominant. And I think people, if you've been through the PS2 and PS3 and PS4, I mean, you could switch to Xbox, but it's going to be a bit of a hassle get used to a slightly different interface.
Yeah.
You tend to either back the PS4, the PlayStation exclusives, because they have very good game exclusives, or be more interested in Microsoft's flagship franchises like Halo or Gears. I think the games are going to be probably a bigger deciding factor than any nitty-gritty with specs. Certainly.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think for a lot of people as well, it might come down to where their friends are going to be playing, right? Like you say, there is certain brand allegiance. If there's 10 of you looking to jump to the next generation, the likelihood is you're going to say, well, we were all on PS4 last generation, let's just go to PS5 next generation and keep playing Destiny or whatever it is, right? So, I think that'll definitely be a factor as well.
Well, that's what we think is going to happen with the PS5. Thank you for watching, and please do let us know in the comments how much you agree or disagree with us.
Yep, and remember to give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you loved it, and head over to TechRadar.com for all the latest tech news and reviews.